Are you feeling spooky, darlings? Okay, we are going to take a look at an old fort on the banks of the Delaware, Philadelphia, that is reputed to be haunted. Old Fort Mifflin.
Along the banks of the Delaware River stands Old Fort Mifflin, Philadelphia's first line of defense during the Revolutionary War and the War of 1812.
During the Civil War, it was fully garrisoned with about 200 men here of the Federal or Union troops, but it was also a Confederate prison camp at that time. Fort Delaware is about, I think it's about 70 miles south of us here, and they really were considered the Andersonville of the North. That's where about 12,000 Confederate prisoners were. But when they got too crowded, we're the ones who took the overflow.
It was a very dismal place to be, between disease, mosquitoes. So far, they kept it as a prison for about 2 years. But the conditions were so bad for both the prisoners and the guards that after 2 years, they had to shut it down.
Fort Mifflin's walls and ancient moat may have been enough to keep our enemies away, but not the ghosts and otherworldly spirits that haunt Old Fort Mifflin today.
Fort Mifflin, over the last few years, we have conducted a total of 5 investigations, formal investigations, and 4 of those 5 have been overnight investigations, and they've proven quite fruitful as far as supernatural activity goes. Notoriously, it seems that there are a lot of stories associated with Civil War period ghosts, phantom tour guides, giving tours to people who visit the fort during the day. And there's, a few Rev War stories that go along with that, but the fort has many of them.
She lives over in the officers' quarters. Now, she's called the Screaming Lady because one night a guard from the Corps of Engineers heard somebody screaming in here, reported it to the police. Police came, they also heard the screams, and they literally broke into the fort because it sounded like somebody was dying. In the 1800s, her daughter had died of yellow fever, I believe it was, and basically she grieved herself to death over it. She's been seen by several young girls. It's always young girls that see her, like it was her daughter. Now, we've had young girls ask who the lady up there is. And we just say, nobody. During the Civil War, there was a prisoner hung here, Private Howe. He is the one that's known as the Faceless Man. He resides back in casemate number 5. He was convicted of murder during the Civil War, brought here. They threw a party for him to pay the hangman. They actually sold tickets to it. Brought a party barge down, threw a party, and then hung him. He's the only spirit here that's, a little spooky. A lot of people have problems going in casemate 5. It seems like if you come here looking for them, you don't see them. But every now and then they pop their heads up and say boo.